Yeah, it was great. I mean, we did 4 shows in the UK last year, in October, and so this time it was a longer tour, and it was great to see so many happy fans, and it was just like unusual. It's amazing that it has been over 2 years already that or maybe even longer, that we hadn't been on stage, with the exception of the UK, and so it's almost like a new old routine, So it was kind of it was a bit kind of, oh wow, this is amazing. It's amazing how a routine can disappear. You know what I mean? Well, I'm kind of thinking that I'm getting, used to the idea that anything is possible, especially if this album is selling well or it's going to be very successful. That and because we were touring with Robbie McCauley, who was helping out for Ronnie, and and if the album is going to be released on the 27th and is becoming very successful, then it looks like we may be adding a lot more shows in Europe again, and especially if we show up with Robin, it will be a different show, and for people to maybe come again and see, especially if the album is doing well. So anything is possible. I don't have any expectation, but I kind of have a feeling that anything is possible. I like the big stage. A big stage is easier to deal with sound, because the sound just has lots of space to breathe, and so there's lots of sweet spots for the guitar sound to feel comfortable with. Smaller places, I love them because it's very intimate, but smaller places, it's always a sound problem. Because the sound cannot escape, and it just kind of gets very messy, and so it's very hard sometimes in smaller places to be on stage and to have a control over the sound. But in bigger places, indoor, again, it's a bigger stage with the sound can disappear to the left, to the right, to the front. It's easier to deal with, But everything has got its advantages and disadvantages. I think the people who are doing it, they have run out of ideas. I'm an artist, I don't need to repeat myself. I'm happy with always inventing new things, but it hasn't been come to, I'm not really part of the machine, to be honest, or of a trend. But, I don't have writer's block, but it seems like that at some point, if all people enjoy is to hear a new version of the old, well, maybe I do it someday if it's being offered to me to do it. But in general, it wouldn't be my idea. In general, I just like to create new expressions. That's much more interesting for me. Well, I have been basically writing the same way since I wrote the first song. And so I usually write by myself, and I write all the music. That's what I have been doing for over 50 years, and most of the music anyway, with some exceptions. And and they all start. I always do it the same way. Nothing really has changed. And I just I write from within myself. I practice pure self-expression, as pure as I can get it. And that's what I'm devoted to. That's where I have fun, and that's what I love to do. And it's a bit like a kaleidoscope, you know. It's like you shake it and a new idea comes up. So I look within myself rather than looking outside what the trend has to offer and copy it to make sure I fit in. It doesn't matter to me. I want to self-express. And for me, it's not, you know, having to stick with a particular way of doing it. I'm free, and I want to express the way I love to. Yeah, I did, you know, the reason why I didn't join Ozzy Osbourne or stayed with UFO or joined Scorpions or Ozzy Osbourne or Aerosmith and Ian Hunter and Motorhead and Thin Lizzy, what you name it, is because of pure self-expression. You know, I don't want to copy anything from anybody. So basically, I didn't join all these bands because I wanted to self-express, and I had so much stuff in my system. I needed to get rid of it. I needed to get it out. It was boiling in me, and it was all sorts of different ways of expressing. Acoustic instrumentals, electric instrumentals, cover versions, playing solos only, playing acoustic guitar for a while, and you know, so many different needs of doing different things in different ways, and so that's why, without restriction, you know, just completely off the wall. I mean, I used to write songs. I used to write a whole album, going from one idea to another, never stopped. That was something I loved to do, you know, just an ongoing picture, never ending. It was so much fun. And so, you know, all of these things I couldn't have done with the commercialized famous musicians. So I had to do it by myself. That was the only reason why I was by myself, you know, because there were so many crazy things I wanted to do, and I did them all. And there is no preferred or less important or more important. It just is. I just had the desire to do this at that point. I had the desire to do something else at a different point. I had the desires, and I, you know, satisfied those desires by doing it, regardless if it was successful or not. But everything I do is successful for me, because, you know, that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing anything unless I have fun doing it. Well, Michael Voss is a great musician. He is a Michael Schenker fan. He is a Gary Barden fan. He is an MSG fan. He is a UFO fan. He is a 80s fan, and he understands my world. He understands, you know, he when I'm expressing something, because he's a great musician, he knows exactly what I mean and what I want, and he can very quickly, you know, turn it into reality. And so we also bounce back and forth ideas. And he understands me, that's period, you know, and that is the great thing. There's little talk necessary, but let the music do the talking, and it goes pretty much automatic. No, we know Michael Voss, he writes all the melodies and lyrics, and so when that song was recorded with Michael Voss singing, and Marco Steiger from Nuclear Blast, he heard it and he said, "Hey, I have a great singer for this song, Michael Kiske." And we said, "Okay, let's hear it. Let's see it. Let's try." And it sounded fantastic, so we chose Michael Kiske. On and on, I'm diving into space. My world is... No, I only met him like 2 or 3 times. I knew about Ronnie, and because Cozy Powell was drumming with Rainbow, and when we did our first tour with MSG with Cozy Powell drumming, Ronnie James Dio, he came to one of the places in Los Angeles we were playing concert, and because he was playing with Cozy Powell, I knew that song, "Long Live Rock and Roll." Ronnie James Dio, he was my favorite rock singer. It's incredible, and so I met him on a autograph session at some point in the 90s, maybe, and maybe some other time. But in general, I knew of him, and I knew that he was the greatest singer of rock for my liking. Yeah, I love every time we do every time I write music and it sounds like, oh, this could be a beginning of a low voice. I always think of Gary Barden because he has the best, most beautiful low voice there is, and with so much feel and warm and manly. And the funny thing was that when we were getting ready, a couple of years ago for Japan to do a really big show, we already had Romy Romero in our rehearsal studio in case something happened to Graham Bonnet. So he was already rehearsing with us for backup. And when Gary Barden found out, he was texting Ronnie that Ronnie was Gary's favorite singer of the new generation. And Ronnie Romero was very happy to hear that, and he showed everybody at the rehearsal room, so it was kind of funny. But it was really strange and ironic that Gary and Ronnie ended up on the same song. And it was not planned, but it's well spotted how you picked it out, that Gary was the first and Ronnie was the current. So, yeah, that is a plus, that we had the first singer of MSG and the current singer of MSG both together on one record. Well spotted. No, impossible to precisely create them note by note.
Right.
Slow solos like "Try Me," "Lipstick Traces," instrumentals. It's all written. Most of it, and or "Holiday," the intro of "Holiday," it's a written solo. But when it comes down to fast solos, it's all improvised. And then very often, I play 10 solos, and they're all great, and I don't know what to choose. So we kind of start picking the best parts of it and somehow mix them together. We do it in all sorts of different ways, and that's what we do. Yeah, the Michael Frost is a Michael Schenker fan, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he was singing about me. But, it's right. I was there in 72 in the summer. I arrived in London. I went to the Marquis Club. I joined the British band, and everything was happening in London. And so I think maybe Michael Frost's dream that he wishes he would have liked to be part of it, but he was born a little too late, and he became a musician a little too late. So he was, doing his part in the 90s, but things were dying down. But when I was 17 years old, everything was blooming. It was just, everything was starting basically, and I was born right into it. And so London, I always told the Scorpions, if somebody from England would ask me to join, I would always do that, because they knew what I was doing, and they did what it was all about that I wanted to do. And so when I was like 15 years old, I was a complete fan of English music, rock music, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and Black Sabbath, etc., and all the late 60s guitarists, Johnny Winter, Rory Gallagher, and Leslie West, and so on. There was so much stuff, and they all had their own style. And in London, it was just basically there was a big scene like the Kensington High Street, you know, getting stage clothes made. You know, it was fantastic. The people who love music. That's it. Universal. Right. No borders, no country. I don't look at borders. I don't look at country. When I came to London, I was so happy seeing so many different colors and different countries in one city. It was beautiful because I'm a universal person. Keep on rocking!